Welcome back to the 4A Baseball Podcast. It's kind of just it's me today, and then it'll be Stebbs, and then it'll be Tom. We're all on our own today. It's gonna be a little bit different than how we normally run things, just because our schedules are they're a bit everywhere right now. We're trying to work through some things. Tom's gonna be out of town for a while, so you'll hear from him and Stebbs in this episode. You'll hear from me. We each have a couple of things we want to talk about, but it's really gonna be focusing on the three amigos. We're gonna be focusing on our teams. So I'm obviously gonna talk about the Dodgers. Stebbs is gonna talk to you about the Nats. And Tom, the Giants. We'll probably go on side tangents here and there, but I'm just giving you a little bit of a different taste of what the type of content we might have coming out this summer, talking about specific things, specific teams, things like that. So I wanted to talk about my Dodgers because they just came off of a huge series sweep against the San Diego Padres, and it puts them squarely in first in the NL West. Right now, they're 26-15, 634 winning percentage, 3 games ahead of the Diamondbacks, 7 games ahead of the Padres. So, key takeaways from the series, right? Julio Urias had a really rough first inning in game two, but he was able to settle down. Dustin May looked really good until we got into the seventh inning, and then the velo started to die down. And I don't know how I felt about that. I was a bit concerned, if I'm going to be honest. And I kind of like where the Dodgers are right now. Tony Gonsolin's back, and he looks like how he did last year. He settled in. He got his first meow W. Like whenever he posts on Instagram, whenever he records a win, he posts meow W and how many wins he has on the season in the caption with a photo of himself from that game. And I enjoy that because Tony Gonsolin's quite the character. I didn't realize he's 29. So that's gonna be an interesting one. I wonder if we'll try and toss him like a low tier extension, even though we don't do that with players for some reason. Uh, just looking at where we are in the standings right now, we would be first in the National League. So we would be the 1 seed playing the 4-5 seed if the playoffs started today. And we all know that doesn't mean anything for the Dodgers in the postseason. Right now, they'd play the winner of Arizona versus Pittsburgh. I would much rather play Pittsburgh because they are 2-8 in the past 10. Their one of their only wins was a Mitch Keller complete game shutout, and their other one was a Mitch Keller shove against the Orioles where he went 7 and he struck out 13. So that's not what we want to be facing as a Dodgers franchise. But if we can get to Rosie Contreras, Rich Hill, former Dodger, then it might be in our best interest to avoid the Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks are a pesky team in all honesty. They're kind of fun to watch to some degree. I really like the speed, the youth of that organization, and it's I dare I say it, it's refreshing because it's what we should have been this year. I'm happy that we're succeeding because, there's very low expectations for this team this year, given off of what we were last year, an 111 win team, and we were expected to just make this fall from grace. And we look like we're still the class of the National League overall. The Braves had a little bit of a skid here, but I like that there's a youth that is actually being played in the NL West. The Dodgers, obviously, they're playing some of the young guys. Miguel Vargas, James Outman are getting consistent everyday at bats. We just sent Michael Busch back down. Michael Grove isn't in the starting rotation, which is actually fine. Gavin Stone got sent back down. Ryan Pepe was on the IL until mid-June. Bobby Miller is still in AAA. I'm actually kind of curious, how is Bobby Miller doing this year so far in AAA? So Bobby Miller in AAA so far this year through 3 starts has a 8.64 ERA and 8 1/3 innings pitched. Looks like he's just got no control so far. He has 5 walks compared to 6 strikeouts, and he's allowed 9 hits, 12 runs, 8 earned runs. So yeah, he is probably not ready this year, which isn't great. Um, I'm not worried about pitching for the future. I think this year it'll be fine. I just think we need to be smart at the trade deadline because we have a lot of arms that are still in the IL, especially in the bullpen. We've got JP Fireeyes and we've got Blake Triner and a couple others that we put on low tier deals that will be back at some point this season. It's basically a free trade deadline, and that is huge for us. But here's the thing, right? If the Dodgers go out and spend on a big free agent, a big starting pitcher, or they go spend on Shohei Ohtani, we're draining our farm system. And I don't think that's a smart idea because we have the talent. And I think that stems a conversation I've been having with myself about our bats right now, right? Because I don't think every day we're putting out the best lineup. Any day that David Peralta's in our starting lineup, we are not putting out our best lineup. We're just looking in terms of the league, in terms of, or just our best batters, right? If we're looking at barrels per plate appearance, it's Max Muncy, JD Martinez, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Chris Taylor, James Outman, in that order, right? Our 7-8-9 is Miguel Vargas, Will Smith, and David Peralta. So Will Smith has been one of our best hitters. David Peralta can't hit a moving object. Miguel Vargas got off to a slow start, but recently he's been getting a lot better. He's gotten his WOBA up to a 331. That's above league average. His OPS is a 752, which as a rookie is respectable. James Outman's hit a bit of a skid. He's at a 909 OPS starting or falling back down from grace. Still got a 389 WOBA, but that's expected to be a 332. So I think the Dodgers are in a good spot right now. I'm not upset with where the Dodgers are. I just think there are strides that need to be made forward and can be in a much less expensive form than Shohei Ohtani. Tim Anderson's available. I think that would be really good for clubhouse presence, especially considering the fact that Miguel Vargas seems to have found a home at second base. Miguel Rojas can't hit anything. And Chris Taylor's an acceptable replacement at shortstop, but I feel like we want to have his defensive versatility in case we need him in the outfield. Just looking at outs above average, right? We were promised this elite shortstop at shortstop in Miguel Rojas, and he's got an out above average. So I don't know how good I truly feel about that. It's also his only year with an above average expected WOBA was 2020. And he had the first 2 weeks where he was absolutely incredible. And he kind of just fell off from there. So I don't know what to think of that. But I'm optimistic. I'm going to keep saying that because I am optimistic. And I did want to do some schedule watch. So if I pull up the Dodgers schedule, I believe we're going into a series with the Twins, starts tonight. Yeah, we got the Twins tonight. And then we'll go to the Cardinals, which should be a good series for us. And I'm really excited for the next two series. So we have the Twins and Cardinals, which will be fine. But the two series after that are the Braves and the Rays. And I think those two series are very telltale of where we are now. Are we just the best team in the West? Are we the best team in the National League? Or are we a legitimate World Series contender? We're the Dodgers. Of course, we're a contender. But what validity does that have behind it? Are we just another team that can stack up against a okay roster, can beat bad teams? Or is this a team that can actually do something in the postseason? Because right now we're 9-8 against teams above 500. Just scrolling through the National League and looking right now, right? There's the Brewers are 8-7. The Diamondbacks are 8-5. And those are the only two teams in the National League with an above 500 record against teams above 500 or better. We go to the American League, right? The whole AL East outside of the Yankees, the Guardians are 500. The Rangers and Astros are both. So we need to see that the Dodgers can beat the Rays. I think that's the big one. The Braves will be a good test, but the Rays are the test. Can we beat the Rays in a 3-game set? Even though the Rays just split with the Yankees. So maybe they are a fallacy to some degree. But I think the Dodgers versus the Rays is a huge test of where we are. And also tell us what we need to go address at the trade deadline, right? Because right now we have pitching depth. As crazy as that sounds, we actually have pitching depth. We have a healthy Clayton Kershaw, knock on wood, and hopefully it stays that way. Will it stay that way? I'm not too sure. I really hope. I mean, he's been fantastic to watch. Julio Urias has bounced back from a rough start. Dustin May has looked really good. It's just how many innings is he going to be able to throw? Because he's never really gone that long into a season. His last full season hasn't happened yet. I guess it would be 2020. And in 2021, he got off to that 4-start stretch where he was really good. But at the end of April, he tore his UCL and he missed all of last year almost. Yeah, Kershaw. Syndergaard is, I hope, if we are going to go out at the deadline and do something, it involves getting rid of him because I don't see value in having Noah Syndergaard on our roster, right? I think I'd rather have a young Michael Grove trying to figure himself out than Noah Syndergaard, because I don't think Noah Syndergaard is going to be able to find anything. Tony Gonsolin looks solid, and then we've got a lot of options in the bullpen, and we've got Gavin Stone in the minor leagues, who, yes, he didn't have a good start, but you got to give him a chance at some point, right? You got to let him find his footing. Brewster Gratterall, they've tried to force him into the close role. It just hasn't worked because he throws so hard and induces such weak contact that he's going to let a lot of fly balls just drop. He's going to get weak fly balls that just land in Bermuda triangles, and that's going to happen. Yency Almonte has been okay. Phil Bickford, I have a heart attack every time he pitches. Vesia and Jackson just haven't been good. Shelby Miller's been a positive surprise, but the underlying stuff really doesn't like how he's been pitching. Then Phillips, Ferguson, Gonzalez, they've done their job. And I'm happy to see Victor Gonzalez back in the major leagues being effective. We haven't really seen him be up and effective since 2020. So it's big for the Dodgers. So I just wanted to wrap up my part by saying I'm confident where the Dodgers are right now. I think we need a little bit of steps in the right direction from a couple batters. We need to see Max Muncy bounce back to some degree. JD Martinez, let him do this. If he can do this all season long, I will be content. Freddie Freeman is bound for positive regression. Mookie Betts is really good. There's no concerns on my behalf. Chris Taylor, solid baseball player. I'm glad he's bounced back from last year and he has things going in the right direction. James Outman, we knew there was some regression coming. We had talked about it here on the podcast. He was due for some regression just based on the league figuring him out. It was going to happen eventually, but if we can get back going, if he can meet that middle ground, I think we've got a legitimate quality baseball player, a 3 to 4 win baseball player on our hands. Miggy VAR, I trust him. I like him. Please stop playing David Peralta. And Will Smith is a great catcher. Please extend him. That is my summary of the Dodgers for right now. And so I'm going to send you guys over to Stevs. He's going to talk about the Nationals. Stevs will send you to Tom, and then we'll wrap it up at the end. Thank you.